Thank you for listening to this podcast, Newbies in the Fandom, a podcast that recaps, reviews, talks about theories and spoils some of pop culture's biggest franchises, from the small screen to the big screen. Thank you again for choosing this podcast. My name is Rachel, and with me is my best friend,
Moya.
We are talking 100. Now, I'm a bit of a newbie with the 100. Am I saying it right? What is the title of the show? It is the 100.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick recap of my history with the 100. I was a big fan of it in season 1, 2, and a little bit of 3, and then I stopped watching. I'll let you guess why I stopped watching. But Moya, God bless her, she isn't affected by such controversies as I was and kept on watching. Moya is a very big fan of the show, and she will kind of be leading this recap with me, just chiming in every now and then. So let's get into the 100 season 6 episode 1. Actually, Moya, give us a recap of a season 5.
Okay, so season 5 it had been 7 years. Bellamy and his crew, which is Monty, Harper, Echo, Amori, and Murphy. They were all in the ring in space. Clark had been left behind on Earth when the Prime Fire hit. And then we have Octavia, Abby, Kane, and some of our other faves down in the bunker. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they've all been sort of, surviving for 7 years. And they came out, season 5 was all about coming out of that 7 years. What's the aftermath of this time jump? Where is everyone at?
Yep.
The conflicts that arise, the introduction of Maddie, introduction of Maddie and that relationship, that mother-daughter relationship between her and Clark. Diosa and her crew, and basically all fighting over one small plot of land that was the only green area on the planet Earth, it seems.
Yep. What was the conclusion of season 5, and where do we find these characters at the beginning of season 6?
Well, the ending of it was, the Earth is dying again. I think there was some sort of
one of the bad guys from outer space sent a fuel bomb to the last patch of Earth.
Last patch of Earth, like, come on, people.
Yeah.
And so they had to leave.
Yeah.
They all had to just suck it up and be like, we've been fucking idiots, and now we have to jump on the ship and go into space. Like, we can't stay on Earth.
Yeah, anymore. So season 5 of the 100 ends with these 4 factions coming together, realizing the Earth is doomed, and going up to space into a prison ship and going into hibernation until one of the characters has predicted that the Earth will heal in about 10 years. Mm-hmm. The character of Monty said to his crew, look, go into hypersleep for 10 years, come out, won't age a day, and we can get back into it. But we find out at the end of season 5, through a very big time jump, that the Earth is doomed, and that the 100 and their family and friends, let's say the remains of the human race, have been traveling through space for 125 years to a new planet. And it ends on lead characters Bellamy, Blake, and Clark Griffin looking at their new home. That's the end of season 5, and it pretty much the start of season 6. So with any new season on any TV show, there are new opening credits. And tell us, Moya, what do you think these new credits, what feel does it give for this new season?
Well, we see a bit of this new planet, this new area. It's got a different feeling. We're going into the unknown. We're seeing a bit more of like greenery and things like that. Some space stuff.
Yeah, we see that they're obviously in a solar system that has twin suns and big moods that you can see on the planet's surface. And the colour scheme of it too is not the greens and the browns of the original.
Yeah, that less earthy tone sort of. Now it's more pinks and orange and things like that. So I think, definitely, less gritty or dark than maybe the previous ones. And so that's what I think, this new season is going to be like. Different style.
Yeah, different. Yeah, it definitely gives off the vibe that we're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a world full of colour. Okay, next.
Yeah, so fitting that Bellamy and Clark are the first to be woken by, we meet this new character whose name is Jasper Jordan. And Jordan Jasper, and he is Monty and Harper's son, and he looks about, in his young 20s. Yeah. So he's almost like matching their ages.
Yeah.
But there's no mistaking who he belongs to. Like the actor is a spitting image of those two actors. So it turns out that it's been 125 years. Monty, he's been working on cracking this code to figure out what the mission was of this ship. And it turns out that they were actually looking for a new planet. There was a planet in mind, but it took him 30 years just to crack the code.
Yeah.
So him and Harper, they had a kid. They lived their whole life on that ship till they were old and they died.
Of old age.
Yeah. Which is, that's nice too, because they were sick of fighting, like it was too much for him. He wasn't really into the whole warrior life.
No. He actually got to live that lifestyle like not many people, like even when they were in space in that first season, got to live. Like he got to live to an old age. So we open up, like I said, where we pretty much left off, with not Clark and Bellamy looking at the new planet and listening to this beautiful message by Monty and finding out they've got a new family member who is Jordan. But we open up the new season, the first episode, with the main crew of Bellamy, Clark, Jordan, Raven, Shaw, Echo, Murphy, Amore, and Abby. Yes.
I think they're some of the top players. They're some of the most important characters that we've been following. Yeah, so they see Monty's message. They realise that he's dead. He passed on. Raven is a little upset. She walks off because she was close to Monty too, They were the two brains of the outfit, very much so. And she was angry because she was like, he left us. But Shaw reassures her and says, look, he lived a good life, with the person he loved.
And hey, we've got a nephew.
Yeah. Now he will have a nephew. Yeah. Nephew that's the same age as us, like.
And clearly crushing on his very hot auntie Raven. Like, I gotta love the CW. They just pick the prettiest people.
They're all good looking. Anyone on the CW is just gorgeous.
Anyway, the crew listens to their message from Monty. They're looking at their new planet, and Monty pretty much tells them, guys, let's not do what we did the last time.
We have to be better. We have to do better.
Yep. We have to be the good guys, not the bad guys. And what's the saying that they said out the end when the message plays? It's their little catchphrase. May we meet again? May we see you?
Oh, yes. May we meet again.
Yeah. It was very beautiful, and they all teared up at that. So Monty has cracked the code to find this new planet, which they call Alpha. And all Monty knows is that it's got oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is meant to be, Earth-like. So, should be pretty survivable, but they don't know. They won't know until they really, check it out more. Yeah. Then we have Raven and Shaw's scene, and he's comforting her, and then that leads to some bow chicka wow wow.
The first time, we think.
Yes, I think so. Like they kissed before, and they've been definitely
Tortured.
Falling for each other.
Yep.
In that
people
last
that
season.
torture together, who get
Stay
tortured,
together.
yet stay together for 5 episodes. Raven and Shaw get together. Then obviously everyone meets up in the mess because they haven't eaten in 125 years.
Mm-hmm.
On the menu is the freshest stuff in the world.
Yeah, more green sludge, more algae.
Monty
You'd
thought
think
of
they'd
everything.
Be sick of this stuff. I think these guys are lucky that they went into sleep and didn't have to eat it for their whole lives.
Yeah, Harper and Monty would have had to.
Yeah.
And Jordan for 18 years.
Jordan, that's the only thing he would have known how to, what food is.
I'm looking forward to him tasting different foods.
Real food, and freaking out.
So when we're in the mess, we see Abby sitting by herself. She's obviously stressing about her partner Kane, which we'll get to in a moment. Mm-hmm. Clark goes and talks to her old friends, but they seem to be giving her shit.
Yeah, because there was always been, that last season, there was very much a disconnect between her and our OG characters, our 100 characters, because, her focus was Maddie. Her focus was very, solely selfish in terms of
her
protecting Maddie at all costs. And, some of those costs really put off her old friends.
Yeah.
So that's still, they're bitching a bit.
Does she deserve such hostility?
Look, they've all done shit. They've all done very questionable stuff. They've got their loyalties. She had to protect her child.
Yeah.
They don't understand it, but that's her daughter.
Yeah.
When you have a child, that comes first. And unfortunately, that meant that she was going against them in certain scenarios. But I think, let it go. Honestly, no one would be alive without her. They would have all bloody
died when they were cutting off their wristbands in the first season.
Yes, come on. And I'm sure she, over the years, yes, she's got a lot of blood on her hands, but so does everybody else.
Yeah.
And she's probably saved them a whole bunch of times too. So, when it all is said and done, let it go.
Yeah.
Come on.
Speaking about season 1, there's been a few callbacks that pop up in this episode, but at the moment none of them have popped up just yet, but they're coming soon, so we'll talk about that. Abby and Clark reconnect. Abby's nervous about Kane. I think Abby was also a little bit twitchy, still trying to come out of her addiction.
Yeah.
After 125 years.
Yeah, you would think that, physically she wouldn't be feeling the effects of it. But if I feel like that sleep sort of kind of freezes you.
Yeah. Well, you don't age, so that's you're still living in your toxins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She is still recovering and a recovering addict.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated with that whole storyline because, she's the mother figure and she's also the doctor. She's an important person. And she just wasn't reliable. And she, it was very, very frustrating. Very frustrating.
There was a couple of storylines from last season that I absolutely like. Of course, I loved Maddie and Clark. I loved Bellamy and Octavia, and I absolutely loved what was going on between Abby and Raven, and we find out those dynamics later as we go on. So in the mess, after Abby talks to Clark about Kane and about what's the next step, Bellamy comes into the mess and they're talking strategy about what's going to happen, like what are they going to do on this new planet, like how they're going to get there.
Yeah. So yeah, Bellamy taking charge, taking the lead, I think, especially because like Clark is sitting back a little, and
because
so
that's still that hostility.
Yeah, and plus she's been out of the game for 7 years, so I think she's just sitting back and seeing what's happening. Bellamy's taking the lead, and he's doing a really good job, you know. And
because who he's talking to are pretty much the people who were with him in space for 7 years, right?
Yeah. So he has their trust, you know. And Clark jumps in and is like, we've got guns, we should, you know, take guns down with us. And he's like, no, like, you know,
we've got to do better.
We've got to do better.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, you know, there's still all of that stuff from the past, coming back in different ways.
What stuff from the past?
Well, just attitudes and just you know, she's had to make so many life and death decisions, and being a bit, you know, they've been in war. They've just
so they're always on that protective, offensive,
exactly.
mentality.
And it's really a change because Bellamy has really tried to see the bigger picture. He in those years when he was up in the ring, he thought that Clark was dead, and for him, Clark was always the brains. She was always the moral compass, telling him, "No, you got to be smarter. We got to do better." All of this sort of stuff. So he really took that on board, whereas she, in gaining a child, became more, you know, emotional. Yeah. Like he used to be. So they've swapped over.
Good observation. I like that. So, as we said before, making some callbacks to season 1. So Bellamy, I keep saying his name wrong, and Clark are doing mirroring each other's personalities from season 1. Good observation, Moy. My note for this scene is, God, everyone is so pretty.
Well, that's what 125 years of sleep will do to you. Get your beauty sleep,
Looking so fresh, especially Raven. So it's decided who the ground crew is that is going down. Raven's volunteering to go down, but Bellamy says, no, you need to work out what the fuck we can do. We need you in space, your eyes in the sky. So the ground crew consist of... Was Miller with them? Miller Jackson? Yep.
Yeah.
Miller, Jackson, Shaw, Murphy, Bellamy, Clark, Echo, and Murphy. I think I said them all. And Amore.
Yeah.
So they are the ground crew with Jordan, Abby, and Raven staying on the main ship. What's the ship called again? It's Legions 3?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I think something like that.
So they stay in the main ship while the others go into...
the drop ship.
The drop ship, there we go. And I love the look of wonderment on the faces of this crew, because they haven't seen that much green in a while, I take it. Not including the 125 years of sleep, but...
Yeah.
It was good. It reminded me of Star Wars when Rey sees all that green on the new planet after living in a desert. They arrive on the planet and we have our first callback to season 1 when they leave.
Yes. And so, you know, it even kind of looks like how they're coming down the walkway, very reminiscent of when the 100 first arrive on Earth, and, you know, they're all sort of waiting to see is the Earth breathable? So is this new planet survivable? Can we breathe?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we can. Like, look at it all. It's all, beautiful and green and stuff. And they're waiting for each other to, take the first step. And then we have a callback from Miller, who says, does anyone have a better line than "we're back, bitches"? Which was Octavia's line when, so she's still asleep though. So,
So there was no better line than
we're back bitches.
They all smile and they take their first step. They're all in awe of this new planet, and Clark and Bellamy just remind each other, Monty's right. We have to do better. And then we go back up ship and we see that Nyla is awake.
Yep.
And along with Abby, and they've woken Kane, who they're fixing up in the medical bay.
Yeah, because he was injured at the end of season 5, and that's why they put him to sleep prior to sort of keep him alive and that. So he's still pretty critical.
Yeah.
When they wake him up.
Yeah.
But Jordan has given them this special green sludge.
Yeah.
That
it was something that Bellamy used on Octavia last season. It was a poison or something, wasn't it?
It's to heal. Like, there's some sort of...
It's something healing. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And he recovers a little bit. Enough to wake up.
Yeah. They wake him up, and then Abby realizes, he needs blood, so get blood from Sky Crew only, she said, I think.
Yes, because Sky Crew has, that radiated blood.
The same as him.
So...
Yeah. So after Nyla, Abby and Kane scene, and Abby asking Nyla to get blood from only Sky Crew only, we go to Jordan and Raven working out where they are, what this planet offers. Jordan looks up and realizes that planet Alpha is not a planet, it's a moon. And he gets emotional. He gets sad face.
Yes, because, this was his parents' life mission. Like, he saw them grow old, trying to figure this thing out, trying to get everybody to this new planet, and he just had a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
And Raven said, look, you're not the only one that misses them. We miss them too.
Yeah.
So they have that little moment, and I'm like, tears welling up, because it's like, we've had to say goodbye to Monty and Harper. And, I think of, like, Monty, he's like, he is one of the sort of the hearts of the show.
Of the groups.
Of the groups, yeah,
Last season there was a little exchange that I absolutely loved. When they were out in the desert, I can't remember, but Monty and Harper drove, Maddie and Bellamy, I can't remember, but Octavia and all the rest were there. And Octavia's just been a bitch. But when she sees Monty, she can't help but wave at him.
Yeah.
I was just like, that is adorable. Like, she's a cold, hard killer. And she's like,
hey, bro.
So they have a moment, Jordan and Raven, and let's be honest, he was checking his auntie out.
That's so weird to me. Like, for some reason, he looks like he's the same age as them, but he's Monty and Harper's son, so it's like you're still gonna see him as like a little kid.
Yeah, and that's how they're gonna see him.
Plus, he's probably stunted because emotionally, or like socially, because
he's never been around girls that isn't his mother.
Exactly.
He doesn't know how to.
He doesn't know how to be.
Oh, that's probably what he's like staring. You're like a new face.
Yes, you're like. This is amazing, and you're so cool, and I've heard all these stories about
like you're
these
Raven.
People, and you saved my parents' lives, and all that sort of thing. It must be like heroes come to life.
Yeah, him and I reckon Maddie will bond a lot, because I loved Maddie looking out last year, looking out Octavia. She's like, oh my God.
Because Maddie had the same experience too, because Clark used to tell her stories of, all these people and how, heroic and brave and awesome they were. And,
Love it. Jordan excuses himself and in comes Abby and tension. So Abby and Raven earlier on in the episode had a little moment of tension. Abby was saying, finally we can get our humanity back, and Raven's like, some of us have never lost it. So what's the backstory to Raven and Abby's animosity?
At one point, like I say, a lot of conflict last season, so they were on opposing sides. Abby, addicted to drugs, painkillers and drugs, she was really at a point where she would do anything to protect Kane and to get more drugs, really.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think she knows that Clark can take care of herself, a lot of the time. But yeah, that whole reliance on those drugs and the
length she would go to have them.
Yeah,
to get her fix.
And yeah. So she was then sort of pretty much grabbed. She volunteered, but really, what's your choice? Anyway, to work with Dioza.
Yeah.
And with the criminals. And so when they caught Raven and Shaw, and they had them on electric shock collars.
Yeah.
So that's where they've got that, resentment and stuff coming from Raven, like, you hurt me, really, like, physically, but also you were, my friend, my mother figure.
Yeah.
Like, you're a doctor. You're supposed to be better than that.
Yeah.
I think we all expected more from her.
From Abby.
Yeah.
There is that tension between Raven and Abby, and when Abby comes in, Raven touches her neck to remind everyone that she was a prisoner of Abby's last year. Abby asked Raven for her blood for Kane. Raven's like, fucking just take it. Just don't speak to me. Abby tries to apologise, but...
And I think at one point they say, Abby goes, I'm not your mother.
Yeah.
And
in comfort, she's like, I wouldn't hurt you like...
Yeah, like your mother would.
Like your mother did.
Yeah, and Raven's like, yeah, you're not. My mother, was an addict too, and she sold her body for alcohol and whatever. But she never hurt me like you hurt me. So it was like, cutting.
Great acting. I don't know the actor's name that well, but the actress that plays Abby, oof.
Yeah.
She hurt one of her babies. That was a good scene, and I look forward to seeing the progression of this storyline. So Nyla, I'm going to end up calling her Nala. I know I am. Nyla, the replacement Lexa for a couple of seasons, goes against Abby's wishes and Clark's and Bellamy's. I think it was mostly Bellamy's wishes, and wakes up Blood Raven.
Blood Rainer.
Blood Rain, like Blood Rain.
Well, Raina is like, queen.
Okay.
Means queen.
Yeah.
So she was the Blood Queen.
Okay, Blood Queen. And of course she wakes up, looks down, realizes her brother's not there, and asks Nyla what the hell's going on. So we head back down to where the away team is, and we find that they've come upon a beautiful body of water, another callback to episode 1, and Murphy offers himself as tribute.
Yeah, they're all just taking in this, beautiful sight, and he just starts stripping off. He decided he's going to jump in, and they're all going, "What are you doing?" Because it's like definitely call back to when Octavia jumped in the river, not a care in the world, and got chomped on by this huge river monster, Jaws style.
Yeah.
And so I was half expecting him to like get bitten by something. I was going, stop, right?
And you could tell that like Clark and Bellamy and Miller and Jackson were like, fuck, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah, just waiting for it. But it was fine, so that's all good.
So we go from a callback to the swim, and then it's nighttime, and I don't know who it was, Jackson or Miller, is looking at a bug in a jar and is just freaking out that it's an alien life form that he's holding in his hand. And I would be too. I would be fucking freaking out.
Yeah. So that was Jackson, and then Miller goes, "We're the aliens," and then he's like, "Wait, we're the aliens?"
It's like, babe, that's awesome.
My God, and it does. It's like. That's the thing I like about sci-fi is like you get this sort of bigger picture and these sort of really, cool ways of telling stories, and, like it's science, but it's still,
relatable, I suppose.
Yeah, but like, and otherworldly, like it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the two lovers share, geek out about that they're aliens. Sorry, Jackson or Miller is overcome with guilt about what happened in the bunker.
Miller, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty much like a number two to Octavia.
Yeah.
Enforcer type. Probably did a bit of killing and that for Octavia in the bunker. Things got pretty dark down there. And so they both sort of think back on that, and he says, well, yeah, I'm guilty about what I did. You're kind of like less guilty because it's about what you didn't do.
Yeah.
So you chosen, not to stop things or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're all just got such PTSD. They were all like traumatized by their, just existence.
They just want to find a nice planet.
Exactly.
Just grow old in. We've got people talking about guilt, the past, and doing better, and everyone's kind of coupling up.
Well, they're lounging about and everything, and, I'm not really a fan of Becco, as they're called, because, it's frustrating that it happened during a time jump, so we have no attachment to that that relationship. We see that they're together, but he's such an integral character, and she started out as an enemy, and then bang, 7 years later, they're all lovey-dovey, and you're just like, what am I supposed to feel about this?
Yeah.
I don't care about their relationship. I don't see any chemistry between them. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be a bit chippy. Him and Clark can just stand next to each other in a room, and I'm going, oh my God, aren't they just so cute? Like there's like emotion there. There's fucking depth there and everything. There's like all this story behind that we've been shown and everything. And him and, Echo just like being lovey-dovey and just like, don't care. Like, when is this going to end? Can we, I'm like, no, I don't buy it.
I have no opinion. How boring. So everyone's around the campfire.
It's frustrating.
Everyone's around the campfire talking about how to be better when all of a sudden they are overcome by bugs. They are swarmed by bugs, and as Moya pointed out as we watched the episode, this is another callback to season 1. When they were getting swarmed by the gas. Yeah,
so it just made me think of, in season 1 and some of season 2 and that when the acid rain would happen, and they'd all have to sort of cover up, get into tents, like run indoors, just try and hide from it.
Yeah.
And So you had scenes like that of people quickly covering up and, you know, just booking it. Like, yeah, and that's what they had to do to get away from this swarm.
Yep. So they cover up, run. They realise they can't make it back to the ship in time. So a couple of the boys light up some flares and they go running, looking for shelter. When all of a sudden, Shaw crash bangs into an electric fence, I think.
Yeah, some sort of field, like energy field type thing. And yeah, just gets absolutely fried. And Clark runs in and sort of, you know, tries to help him out, and he tells her the code to turn off the fence, because it's old tech, like, you know, he would be used to, because actually he is pretty old too. You know, he was from that original lot of people who escaped Earth.
Yeah, during the first apocalypse.
Exactly, yeah.
Shaw dies. Clark goes through the force field because she's got radiation in her blood.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about what happened there, but she managed to get through.
Yeah.
Brings force field down, so everyone can run into that area
and get protected from the swarm.
Yeah.
Shaw's last words to Raven is tell Raven that she deserves happiness, and out of all the characters, does she deserve happiness?
Oh my God, can this woman get a break? Like, I'm like, for real, you're gonna kill her new man in season 1, in episode fucking 1.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? They just want her to be miserable. Like, this is cruel.
They need her to go evil, probably. Are they pushing her to go evil?
Well,
do you think she could go evil?
Wouldn't be surprised if she went a little crazy.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely going to have some bad, you know, consequences in terms of her
psyche.
Yeah.
So Shaw dying is, you know, so Raven.
Oh my God.
Corny stuff. Okay, we return to the main ship, and Abby is looking for painkillers to keep Kane alive, but Raven took them, and and Raven just straight up tells Abby, you know, take them, just crash again. So better now than later, sooner than later. Back to the away team, and Murphy is doing what he does best, pushing buttons. They talk about who's going to fly the dropship after Shaw dies, because he was their pilot.
Yeah. And the only other person who has flying experience in that group is Amori. And as she points out,
how many successful flights have she had?
One, and just barely successful.
That's when they were coming back to Earth, right?
Yeah.
So they're walking. They make the choice that Imori is going to be the pilot. And as they're talking, they come upon a hill, and upon the hill is a castle on the hill.
Yeah, and it's abandoned.
I've got a note here saying that the castle looks like a reject set from Star Trek Next Generation. So yes. Early 90s design.
Yes, very interesting. A lot of colour, a lot of geometric design. Definitely very different from anything we've seen on the 100 before.
Yeah.
You're definitely aware that this is a whole new, you know, area, like place, planet, everything.
And even the colours in this episode are just a little off.
Yeah, because the eclipse, it's bathed everything sort of this reddy, orangey sort of tone.
Yeah.
So that really
makes us feel like, yes, they are on a new world.
Mm.
The away team goes into the castle and the houses around it, and they find it abandoned. What else happens?
So they're pretty much checking it out. It looks like it hasn't been empty for like a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but it looks pretty much like they just got up and left.
Yeah. But not in a hurry though, because nothing was overturned.
No, yeah. So very quite strange, you know. And they're checking it out. Most of the doors are locked. Oh yeah. So they're going, this is someone's home. We have to be better and everything. And as soon as they say that, Murphy kicks in someone's door. And they go and check it out inside.
And what's the most weirdest thing that they find?
Well, there's a few things. There's some pictures of the first
settlers, we'll
say.
Yeah,
yeah, settlers.
And they're called Night.
Yeah, something like that.
Nightborn, sorry.
Nightborn, yeah.
They come in and they see this pictures and
sort of like a shrine.
A shrine.
And there's drops of blood in a plate, below the pictures and everything. So some sort of ritual or something.
Oh, a tribute to this family who were called Nightborn. And as we were watching this episode, I said to Moya, is that making a reference, or is that trying to tie in the Earthgrounders' night blood into it? So who knows? So that's the question I'm going with. Murphy steals an iPod.
Yes. He can't help himself, it kind of reminded me of Jasper when he had the only iPod around,
right. So that,
and he would play music and they would go driving in the car, in the Rover, blaring the music. So yeah, I think a bit of a callback later on. In terms of that.
That's good that, that character has been out of the series for 2 years, but they're giving callbacks. Like the music, I didn't know was what people would associate with Jasper. So we return to the mothership. Kane, Abby. Kane is up and moving, and him and Abby are just taking in this new planet. And Kane says, after all the shit we've been through, this is what it was for. Then Octavia comes into the room, and Octavia, Kane, and Abby have a history.
Oh yeah, definitely. In the dark bunker days, Abby. It was Abby's idea to go cannibal, and her idea to really enforce that with deadly consequence. She pretty much said, you have to force these people to eat
human flesh
so that they can all survive.
Yeah.
So it was about the bigger picture, which we always, come back to in the 100. Is the bigger picture, is it worth the
humanity, losing your humanity?
So they definitely, and I think Octavia, she knows that was necessary, or she believes that was necessary, but she still resents having to do it.
Yeah.
Having to be the one.
That was the front head of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like as soon as that decision was made, like Abby and Kane distanced themselves from her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were living in their own guilt.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
He was totally opposed to it. And he pretty much said, if people want to not do it and die, then that should be their choice.
Yeah.
But Abby really pushed for it.
Yeah. There's definitely tension between these three characters. Octavia feels betrayed by Kane and Abby, and maybe Abby and Kane are a little bit guilty or feel guilty or responsible for what Octavia came become.
And especially sort of Kane, his part, like, he never agreed to it. He never agreed with it. And so when they were out, he was pushing for peace always, and that led him to want to partner up with Diosa, which obviously Octavia was at war with her.
Yeah.
So that was, the other betrayal to her. And he said, you didn't have to wage war.
You didn't have to burn the farm.
You didn't have to burn the farm. You know,
That was all ego.
yeah, that was about, you know, that mentality of I'm in charge, I say what goes, and I want this, so this is what's going to happen, and there's no other negotiating, there's no getting around it. You know?
It's just us, it's not them.
Yeah, so she was protecting her one crew, but he obviously, you know, could see that, you know, it would be useless. You know, they were trying to survive. Everyone was trying to survive.
Yeah.
So why would you go to war and have more people die?
Yeah.
Your people too, you know?
Because it came down to, in season 5, there was up to just under 2,000 people. Yep, and now that number is less than 500.
Yeah.
Yep, so human race is running low. So Octavia, Abby and Kane yell at each other for a little while, and the tension gets too much that Kane's, obviously, his wounds open up again, and he's pretty much bleeding out. Octavia she's looking like she's ready to let him die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But Abby doesn't give up. Octavia helps Abby deal with Kane, and then she just walks off. Nyla tells Abby, let him go, you know, can't do this anymore. But Abby, and I wonder where Clark gets her stubbornness from.
Mm-hmm. She's not going to give up on Kane.
No. When those Griffin girls have someone they love, they will move heaven and earth for them. So Abby puts Kane back into hypersleep, his bunk bed, so he can heal for the moment.
Not even heal, but just pause.
He's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they find a cure. We can see that Abby is very, very rattled, and we see her.
Yeah, you see Abby pick up the pills and the, you know, that temptation, and we all know this could be, you know, another trigger for her to go back on the drugs. And Raven, who's standing behind her, like, is pretty much rolling her eyes, like, you know, expecting that to happen. But she gets up and, you know, turns around, and, you know, she's obviously made the decision. I'm not going to do that again. And she gives the pills to Raven.
Yep.
Who seems a bit shocked by that.
Yep.
But yeah, she's sort of come back to herself a bit in terms of taking charge and, you know, being more proactive.
And doing better.
Yeah, doing better. Everyone's doing better.
Yep. Then we go back down to Planet Alpha. And Amore is is starting to act a little weird now. Her temper is getting a little bit short, but we can't blame her because Murphy's just hopping around her, getting the flirt on, picking music, wants to dance with his babe. So we move from those two lovers to potential. No, I can't even say potential lovers.
Come on. You can admit that they love each other.
Look,
Bellamy and Clark endgame.
Two co-leaders. There we go.
Soulmates.
Co-leaders.
Star-crossed lovers.
Bellamy and Clark. They're having a heart-to-heart in what looks like to be a kindergarten, a school classroom.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're checking the classroom out, and someone brings up the radio communication that Clark was doing. Yes,
they were talking about they can't get through the radios to Raven.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And, you know, Clark's like, yeah, I know how frustrating that can be, you know, which is referring to the 7 years that every freaking morning she would call Bellamy on the radio. He's the one she wanted to talk to tell
Lexa
everything.
Was dead.
To tell everything to, and you know, yeah. So
they share a moment.
He, she goes, I know it's silly or whatever. I know it's crazy. And he said, I'm sorry I couldn't answer you. And she takes a moment there like, did he actually hear me that whole time? Yeah. And he goes, no, Maddie told me. And then they have a little joke and sort of ease the tension. But I think, really, she was going a bit,
She was going crazy.
Yeah, she was she would have been so lonely being the only person left on the planet.
Yeah.
Everyone else was either underneath it or above it. And she was there by herself. But, that whole time she's calling Bellamy.
Yeah. And like you said, that's not, Bellamy says it's not
crazy.
It's not crazy. And she goes, you know what, you kept me sane. Like, it was the only thing that kept me sane when I was ready to give it all up.
Yeah.
Both of them are awkward about this confession, about this truth. I'll give them that. Bellamy goes outside and Clark looks around the school and she finds a storybook and flips through it and she reads the contents of the storybook. She doesn't register what it is just yet, but she has this book and it's something weird. There's bugs, there's an eclipse.
She doesn't read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she ends up like putting it down and
because she hears a commotion outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Moira is stabbing Murphy.
Yeah, she's going nuts. I was like, what the hell is happening? She just absolutely flipped her lid and it's all directed at Murphy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh my God, what's happening? Why is she trying to kill me?
And she's screaming, he'll do it to you too.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch what she was, referencing or whatever, but yeah. And then, so obviously, at that point, something's up, but you don't really understand what it is, what's happening.
At the moment. And while this chaos is happening, the drop ship flies off.
Yeah, they can't catch a break. So someone, unknown, steals the dropship, takes off, and they're like, what the hell? And they're still trying to grab a hold of Amori.
And then Clark looks down at the storybook.
I think it's Bellamy. Yeah, he picks it up and he shows Clark and, it's actually, it's a warning book.
Yeah.
It's to teach the kids what happens.
Yeah, and what they have to do.
They have to run away. And that's why that area is abandoned. Yeah. Because they've all run away because they know what was coming.
Yeah. So obviously that area experienced the swarm. And of course, the eclipse is also the big thing. Clark takes the book, has a look at the book and realizes there is something in the air that is making people crazy. And that is the end of the first episode of season 6, episode 1 of the 100.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I love science fiction shows, and I love science fiction shows with very good looking people in it. And drama, of course. I love drama.
Oh yeah.
Drama. I'm all for Abby and Raven, Octavia, Abby and Kane, and I can't wait until Clark gets back with her daughter later on, because we didn't see Maddie. There's also a few other characters that didn't appear. DeSouza?
Yep, Dioza. Everyone else is still asleep.
Yeah.
As we go, I'd say they start, waking people up and stuff, but they're not quite ready yet.
Getting their bearings.
Yeah, they're not sure that it's 100% safe yet, I guess, so they'll stay asleep.
So, yes, thank you for listening to this podcast, Newbies in a Fandom, with me, Rachel and
Moya.
We recap, review, theorize, and spoil some of the biggest things in pop culture from the silver screen to your small screen. Please subscribe, like, or comment to this channel. And if you comment, we're newbies at this. Please be kind. Good karma. We are looking at reviewing more shows in the future, but at the moment it is the 100 and Game of Thrones. Please have a look at our other videos. Until next time, thank you.
Bye.